concluded Cross River State governorship elections. But this time we're joined by Usani, who is the Action Congress of Nigeria's governorship candidate for the election. Thank you for coming this morning.
You're welcome.
Well, from your perspective, yes, indeed, lots of releases here and there, but we've had some other matters yesterday about the same election, including INEC giving us what they think or what they saw transpired for the same elections. For you, how did it go?
Seemingly peaceful, but creditably very, very unpleasant. By that I mean, what has been shown to the world as being peaceful is in respect of where they are able to focus their attention, whereas there are several flashpoints of violence. Though we are glad that we have not heard of a report of loss of life, but at present there are several people having medication in various medical centers who have been violently maltreated. In all, the conclusive remark I'll make on this election is that Nigeria is still in a dreamland, retarding from what sanity in electoral process ought to be.
Upon what do you make that submission?
Yes. One, several of the ACN agents were driven out of the collation centers.
Several of the ACN agents?
Yes, were driven out of the collation centers. In Biase local government, for instance, one was arrested by the police and kept in detention for some hours, and nobody knows what was going on at that instance.
How many polling agents did you have on the whole?
We submitted a list for every unit where we were supposed to have a polling agent. However, I'm aware some didn't appear.
How many on the list you submitted?
We have 2,283 or 84 polling units, and we have 18 local government areas, and we have 193 wards, and we have one state collation center. In each of them, we're supposed to have one, and we submitted a list accordingly.
You submitted how many on the list of your agents that you submitted to INEC?
Yes, by what I am saying,
yeah.
I will not be able on the spot, given your time frame, to start with the additions.
It's just a number. You can say that in 1 second.
Yeah, it's a number. We submitted according to the breakdown I've given. I have not calculated the sum.
So you were not privy to the list that was submitted?
No, that means a different thing. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. I have not done the summation. That's what I mean.
How many agents were eventually cleared for ACN?
I'm aware that the resident electoral commissioner ordered that they should accept all our lists. But in Ugeb, my local government area, for instance, the electoral officer there said he did not recognize any agent from ACN and drove all of them out, and said he didn't get the list, which we personally saw. That's my local government.
Okay, I asked the question because, I mean, perhaps, correct me if I'm wrong, listen, it does sound as though you met the criteria for the agents, of course, to participate in that election, and perhaps something was done and not enough was cleared or present in those areas. But we spoke to INEC yesterday, and then INEC says most of the parties did not even meet the full criteria for those agents.
Yes.
And so how can parties, how can you say that, well, as though INEC deliberately tried to stifle your party for that election?
Thank you very much. From this perspective, I understand now. I'll tell you, on Thursday, I know that we were in late submission in some parts, because as the list came in from the LGS, we were submitting. And I remember on Thursday when we went to submit the last batch, our agent went to submit the last batch, the officials at INEC said no, they wouldn't take it. Until he called my attention and I went to see Mr. Mike Guinea, who directed that they should receive them. And accordingly they received. That was the last batch, 2 days to the election. So probably at the time this assertion was made, it was 2-3 days earlier, or even a day earlier.
So now, it doesn't suffice?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, then in terms of your offices, are you present? Because PDP yesterday says the opposition is not even existent. You don't have offices in all the world, or local government area, you didn't campaign, and yet you want to win.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to take them on. in my council ward, ask them where their secretariat is. PDP, which has governed for 13 years.
But that doesn't answer the question as to whether or not you have one.
Well, it is true that no party in Cross River State has all offices in all the wards and local government areas. That is true, inclusive of PDP.
No party?
Not one.
In all the wards and local government areas?
That I say.
But do you
authority.
have in some local government areas?
We as ACN have at the state headquarters, and in some LGAs we don't have. In some, I am told they have, because I haven't had the opportunity of inspecting, the local government chapters of the party.
So how
the reason is because I am fairly new in the party, and when I came into the party, reorganization and administration of the party overwhelmed us greatly. So we concentrated on that, which we were able to conclude before getting to primaries.
What party were you before ACN?
In 2003 or 2002, I was in NDP to contest the election for governorship.
That was the last time you participated?
When I was cheated out, I went to ND.
13 years ago?
Oh, yes. No, not 13 years ago, about 9 years ago, 2003.
No, but before then?
Before
you
then,
were in another party.
Yeah, before then I had sympathy for PDP. I was still in office. At the point I left office, when I would have had the privilege of having my name enlisted as a partisan member of PDP, which I had sympathy for, I was denied the opportunity. And so I will not say in all efficacy I've ever been a member of PDP, but that was my alignment.
Okay, but if you had sympathy for this party at some point, it means that you will definitely have realized that they do have a structure and ground. I mean, you are already, in some ways, you've admitted that the structure and ground for your party, the party upon which platform you contested, wasn't very well defined, and that it seems some sort of restructuring was going on, and that overwhelmed you a little when you finally joined the ACN. Am I correct?
You are not perfectly correct.
Okay, so I'm correct to a large extent.
To some extent.
Okay.
And that assertion, I said, spreads across the board. It's not peculiar to our party. But addressing the import of that, presuming that it is because of that the party was not ready for election, I thought we should talk about that.
Absolutely. Were you ready for the election?
Absolutely ready. And the PDP knew I was ready.
No, because the thing is, how could you, if you could not verify that they even had council offices in all the local government areas, even some local government areas, it means that at some point you did not even get round to all the local government areas. Which
True as well.
Which is what the PDP claims.
True as well.
But the question would be, how did you hope to win the elections?
Fine, thank you. That I did not go around the local government area does not suggest that the party was not going around the local government areas. We had teams that were working at each LGA. And working to get election done is not your physical presence anywhere. It is the ability to attract members, to show sympathy with your programs, and willingness to vote for that party.
Sorry,
so
what program did you have that made you think the people of Cross River State, who are predominantly focused or have been predominantly used to the PDP, would want to deviate their attention to this?
Indeed, the people of Cross River State have been predominantly used to the PDP in their vices, and that is why massively they had intent to reject the PDP. That is the nature of usefulness they have. I mean, how used they have been to the PDP.
So why did you think that you were a viable alternative?
How I thought so.
Yes.
Even the PDP people know that.
Really? But they didn't sound. They didn't
say so yesterday.
I will tell you so. Even the PDP people know that, because I won't even talk about the present system of PDP. I want to tell you that even Donald Duke to come to office, in spite of what they say today, I was a central factor. They know that. And that is why even in 2003 when I came out to contest, they hunted me and came to my village residence, 139 kilometers from Calabar, and used policemen with order to eliminate me. Until this moment I'm talking, the bullets marks are on my paneling in my city.
Did the matter get to the police?
It was a national conspiracy. It got to the police several times.
Okay, perhaps we should just let that be with the police so that we can focus properly on
They
the
have forgotten
conduct.
it, of course. It's many years ago.
Oh, it's been forgotten. Okay, but the conduct of these elections now,
Yeah.
because the impression some have out there, much as they may be sympathetic to opposition, but they've also come to the stark reality, some of them say, that opposition is never always ready. And then they show up on the day of elections and expect to win. And so that's why I asked, what structure did you put in place to think that you were going to win these elections? And in terms of the elections on that same day, what were what things didn't go right for you that you think was done wrong?
First of all, addressing the issue of structure. For many politicians who use the word structure, what they mean is a pinnacle hierarchy where you sit at the top and roll instructions down. And then roll down money also to influence things.
No,
right?
but what I mean by structure
Now,
is presence in
yes.
those areas.
Now that's
with
what
the
I'm
people.
addressing.
Okay.
When you talk of structure, structure in politics depicts the essence of mobilization. And the strategy of mobilization is what makes a structure virile or vibrant. What this means is that as far as structure in politics is concerned to mobilize, I operate a lateral form of relationship. That is to say, I am part of the mobilizing system. And that makes mine more efficient because I am with the people. There is no constituency in the state where I go and I don't have people on account of friendship built from a political background that are mobilizing for me.
And you're very sure of this because, I mean, you've said it again that you're not able to go around to even see what was going on, to inspect what was going on. It's very possible that people can call and, be nice to you over the phone and they'll tell you, yes, we're doing a lot of things here for you, but maybe nothing was going on.
Yes, let me also inform you. From where you're sitting, you will not understand the indices of effective mobilization in politics. What you presume is when you see on screen the jamboree, paraphernalia of outing with materials and issues.
Okay, but pardon me if I missed it out. What
I don't
did INEC
think
do wrong?
I don't think I am anchored on that. And I don't want to leave you with false impressions because of the creations of these people who have come to give you wrong information.
Okay. Let's even go away. Sorry, Chamberlain. Let's go away from the jamboree and all. I mean,
that's what you call campaign. That's what you call presence.
I'm basing all of this on your own testimony. The testimony that you said that you were not able to go around.
And you have not given me the room to speak on that. That's a point. I have told you going around is not mobilization. You can't be here and mobilizing in a distant location.
No, but at least you can make sure that what you have there is truly what you have.
The method of checking that, I have gone around to more communities than Liel went. I have.
Okay, but
so if you talk of going round, and that's the point I'm making, because you see on screen the jamboree and then you presume that they have gone round, but I've gone round to more communities.
No, because someone would say...
How did you go round to more communities?
Fine. Driving personally and consulting with groups, youth groups, women groups, elders, chiefs. That is how I went round.
So somebody would say that, you actually have more work to do than the incumbent. I mean, the incumbent has been there for 4 years, and if he's lucky, maybe his work can speak for him. Maybe his local government chairman, maybe other people might be able to speak for him. But for a party that's relatively new and is still undergoing some restructuring, as it were, you might have more work on your hands to put up yourself as the viable alternative to the people. You don't think that will be the case?
Do you want me to labor to convince you that
you were equally as popular as the incumbent candidate?
That comparison is a disservice to my own personality
since you're not
and my political outing.
There
is no basis for comparison because I tower above that.
Okay.
Okay, but for the conduct of the elections on that day,
yes,
what was wrong with it?
Several things were wrong.
Such as?
I mentioned earlier, our agents were not even given opportunity to see through what was happening concerning their party. Number two, in my own council ward, for instance, the night of sorting out the materials, it was said that my ward registers were missing.
Ward registers?
Yes. And it took the intervention of the resident electoral commissioner to get them say they have seen them within hours. And then at the point of release of these registers in one of the booths in my council ward. The print was just fresh.
Huh?
Yes, the print was fresh. And men who voted in last year's April election without any validation of their registers had their names missing from the register and some names duplicated.
What was the implication of that being fresh, the prints being fresh?
That means they reproduced on the spot for the purpose of that election.
Really?
Yes. And the polling unit is called Nsobo in my council
Did you
ward.
confront INEC with this?
I'll come with that. Then, in the polling unit in one of the in my council, in one of the polling units, I had to observe in all the ballot booklets that were sent to my community, which has 2 council wards, they detached some voting papers, some voters' cards from the booklets. And when I confronted the supervisor, he said he got instruction to do that from the local government electoral officer. He gave me his name, one Mark Usulo. And that Mark Usulo, I got his number and called him right on the spot. When I called him, he said, yes, they hadn't enough material. That's why they were instructed to cut out. I questioned whether that was from Calabar they had shortage or from Ugeb they had shortage, which is the local government headquarters. He said, well, that was the position. He started talking about serial numbers. I have a recording here which I will give you because when I was discussing on this, I was on camera. I have the record I'll give you to play and see. And I told him, what you're saying is different from what the rec said, because he said we have enough material, they were ready for the election. And if that is the case, I'm taking you up with Igini. That was my statement to him. And he said, I'm waiting for you. That statement suggests they were ready.
And now they should be ready, shouldn't they? That's that.
Now, that readiness means you are waiting for me to confront me in the face of your criminality without remorse.
Well, actually,
so,
meanings are
that's the
people.
point,
So different people have different meanings to different things, really. That's social science research. But then, now that you have highlighted all of these infractions, what about the results? Because we had those who have said, well, for...
Now, I was counting the things that went wrong in the election.
Okay.
I hadn't finished.
Oh, all right. Go ahead.
And then they beat up so many, like I said. And then the result sheets, for instance, in my council ward, they say they had electronic transmitters. We didn't see one in my collation center. Then the result sheets also were left at the various polling units, and the officers went away to the collation center without carrying the result sheet. Yet they turned in results for some of those places. Then Professor James Ipoke, who has been a leader of PDP, Vice Chancellor University of Calabar, was the returning officer.
Okay, so
and he had mandate.
Just a minute. We've got the resident electoral commissioner for cross-river elections on the line now. You said you went to him with something, so he's here to quickly respond to it before you just continue. Morning, Mike. Can you hear us?
Chamberlain, good morning. I'm hearing all of you and very well.
Okay, you're going to respond in 2 parts, but for this one, I think we just got about a minute 30. So if you could just respond to what the Action Congress of Nigeria candidate has said about some of the infractions which you have heard. What are your thoughts on what he said?
Chamberlain, first and foremost, my position as an umpire, I'm very mindful of it. And quite frankly, not for the respect I have for all of you, and the man who is seated with you, Mr. Osani, I do not think that I would like to be responding individually to some of these things. You know very well that I will come to Lagos. When I come to Lagos, I also should take on all of this. I would rather say that Mr. Osani should be the one to speak fairly on how we discharged and acquitted ourselves. I will just respond to one issue, and I think I would like to hang up. And that's on the issue of his statement about the absence of agents, of his own agents from the polling unit. It is on record that even though Section 45 stipulates that all political parties must submit 7 days before the conduct of any election list of people they wish to be their agents. himself can confirm that his party, as several other parties, and for reasons of trying to also encourage people, did not meet that timeline. And as himself rightly stated, no political party in Cross River State, I repeat, met the full complement of agents in all the 2,283 polling units. On January 18th, even though it's not my responsibility, I invited all the political parties where I reminded them of the requirement of Section 45. On the 18th of January, I was not done. On the 8th of February, I also reminded them, because in Cross River, we have developed a precedent, a form that will contain the names, details of all would-be agents, and that they should get their list ready. I will give the form to them. After the 8th, I visited all the political parties, where I also requested again, because we were determined to conduct an election where nobody will have no recourse to go to tribunal. I want to be fair, transparent. We took on the responsibility of political parties. It may interest you to hear that whereas on the 13th of February, the 7 political parties out of the 12 came and collected forms. It was also interesting to hear this, that out of these 7, I sat on the 18th, which is one day stations of the timeline required. Only 3 political parties submitted: AD, the Democratic Party, and the PTP. Even of these 3, not all of them met that requirement. Some submitted just only 18. And you are expected to submit 1 for every PU, that is to 1 person in 2,283. So the question is, from the submission made, even some parties cannot even fulfill the requirement of agents in one local government. In one local government, it means in fact and indeed that we have to rely on the integrity of the umpire.
Okay.
As we did elsewhere, this is not the first day where we have conducted the election. INEC have the primary duty, whether political party have agents, they don't have agents, to respect and to deliver, to check the vote of people, record them and give money. In case of Cross River State, even in my office, I could make a call to whoever has any PU. I know the name of everybody at every PU in the data before me. So I think that I rather allow Usami, he will be the one to tell you people more.
All right, then.
What we stood for and what we did here in Cross River State.
Okay, in that case, then.
That's much I would like to say on that, because, and to finally say this, most of the political parties, I think, really respectfully acknowledged.
Yeah.
They even submitted on the eve of election. On the eve, in some cases, they submitted on the 24th. I was called, which is also, I was so flexible that, okay, if the whole essence of having party agent in line with Section 45 is to have the presence of persons, I now took a purposive approach in looking at that provision. That way, if the law should not be now used to defeat the essence of it, because it didn't requirement of 7 days to the election.
Okay, Mike, we get your point on that matter.
I gave it a word to the staff.
All right, Mike. We get your point on that matter. Can you hear me? All right, well, what we'll do is we get your point on this same subject, which you just clarified now, but we'll have to let you go now, but just hang in there, because we'll come back to you much later, because there's some other matters we'd like you to clarify concerning these elections. But thank you for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Mike Igini, Resident Electoral Commissioner for Cross River State. Well, you heard his response there,
yes,
which you also saw you not in agreement, was that it?
Of course, I told you already that.
All right, then.
2 days to election was when he ordered that they should get our last batch of,
so magnanimity exhibited in that extent.
So, yeah, of course.
Okay.
He bent over to accept that. And I've also told you some of the things I've said. I told you he was not even in the know. I also told you he intervened for even registers to be produced.
Yes.
As a personality.
What you seem to be doing is differentiating between himself as resident electoral commissioners and other officers in
exactly.
INEC. It's like, he did not, he wasn't everywhere. And
he didn't need to be everywhere.
He couldn't,
I am not in any way indicting him.
No, not him, but INEC.
Not at all.
Which he represents.
He represents INEC. And I am only pointing out, he asked a question, what things were not done right? And I was enumerating some of them that came to my knowledge.
Okay.
In which case, he doesn't necessarily need to be in default. What it means, because his position commits him to vicarious liabilities. And that's the point. So if he subordinates it to things that were not right, automatically he could be blamed for what he hasn't done and what he has not even known. Because the time was too short for complaints to come to him and for him to take actions immediately to remedy before ever the results will be announced. So for Mike again, I have 100% respect for him. I continue to say so. I don't know whether my respect is properly placed or misplaced, but that is my opinion.
Okay, let's back to the elections here. The turnout at the elections was said to be very poor. And it is from the PDP man that was here, he said it's because the people of Cross River State are tired of elections.
Very good. Though I don't agree with that, but let's even take into critical analysis of that statement. Why are they tired of elections? It means they have no excitement in the election. They have lost faith in the process. The process managed by who and midwife by who? And what have been the outcomes of that process? People only get tired of a thing that they despise. So why are they despising the electoral process in Cross River State? But the truth is that the people feel that they are always twisted. For instance, you go out to vote and you're manhandled. Several of those instances took place now. For instance, the chapter secretary of my party in Yakon local government area, people went out, led by the chairman of the local government council, to remove my posters. And when the guy challenged them, they beat him up with bruises. He went to the police. At the end of the day, they rather charged him in court and remanded him in custody. He was not out during the elections. The charter chairman of Abi local government, as I'm talking to you, they bulldozed his house, destroyed his property. In fact, I left him in my house yesterday before I started traveling to Lagos, beaten properly. His family is displaced. He's hiding in another local government area right now. So, why should people not be tired of elections when you see this type of brutality?
So it's not about the fact that it's not the frequency with which they've had to go to the polls. It is the violence.
It is the consequence of going to the polls that they are not happy with, because their expression doesn't seem to matter.
Are you sure that the election results as we have it is not reflective of what actually transpired in Cross River State?
I will answer that with a rider. I will first say yes. That claim is correct. It's not a reflection. Apart from Yako and Abi local government areas, where PDP and ACN candidates come from, the turnout in the state was extremely low. In some polling units, you had less than 10 people coming to accredit, in spite of a large number of registered voters. And then the reason is this, or what has happened is that if you consider Calabar as the highest urban center, where people are literate and enlightened, if the turnout was so low, for instance in Calabar municipality, is it in the rural communities you expect to turn out 38,000 per local government?
And that's always been the argument of the political elite. That is not those who are educated, unfortunately, that come out to vote. In fact, that they exhibit the most voter apathy. And it's usually the rural people who turn up the most in any election.
Now, if I wish you had a periscope of the various localities while the thing was going on. They will show you clips of people lining up in a long queue.
Okay. What's your next line of action now?
My next line of action is to continue to be partisan until when I shall retire.
Are you going to court on this matter?
It is not my decision to make. The party has stakeholders. When they decide on what we will do, the party has stakeholders at the national level, at the state level. When they confer and decide on what to do, I only carry the flag of an organization being the party. So they will decide on what to do.
But would you like them to go to court?
What I like at this point, when they are not taking a decision, will not be fine for me to say.
Even as the flag bearer.
Sorry?
Even as the flag bearer.
I can only offer an opinion. Because they have a right to sack me from the party if I say otherwise.
What would your opinion be?
Until they decide, I will not offer. And if I have to offer before they say as an impute, I will do it where they call for it.